Each of you, if you've noticed, the agenda sheet is kind of changed up. We have changed this agenda according to the new laws. So if it looks a little different, that is the reason why. I'm going to have to kind of study myself here a little bit too. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Directors. It is our February the 18th of 2012 meeting. We are calling it to order at 9 a.m. and our location is the boardroom of Fort Clark Springs. At this time, we would like to ask Shirley to do our invocation, then we'll go into our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me, please. Our gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every day of our lives. We especially thank you for the moisture that we've received, and we pray, if it be thy will, that we will receive more rain. Dear Lord, we ask your blessing on this meeting today, and we ask that we all work together to make Fort Clark a better place to live. Please bless each family represented here today and help us to be better Christians. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I've got your pledges.
At this time, we do have a quorum. Also, for this board meeting, we're going to go to our secretary to make any announcements and correspondence.
Madam President, the Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs Association met in regular session on Saturday, January 21st, 2012, in the boardroom, Fort Clark Springs, King County, Texas. The meeting was called to order at 9 a.m. by President Debbie Isaacs. A quorum was established with the following directors present: Debbie Isaacs, Henry Garcia, Larry Farlow, and Garland Young. Director Goodwin was unable to attend due to a previous commitment. Also present was Janelle Hobbs, Interim Director of Operations. Madam President, I need a motion to excuse Director Giblin from attending that meeting.
I make a motion to excuse Steve Gibbons from the meeting.
I've got a motion and a second to excuse Steve Giblin for the meeting in January due to obligations he had before he ever came on the board. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 people voting. At this time, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented to the board with the following notations on discussion and consideration of including 7 members on the ballot. President Debbie Isaac wanted in the minutes that she was for the 7-man board, and I noticed it's not in there. Also, in the back page on E2, it says the regular meeting reconvened at 12:15 with board members noted above in attendance, along with Director of Operations Ron Stewart. He was no longer the Director of Operations here. So if you correct those 2 things, I make a motion that we accept them as noted with the corrections.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second to accept the minutes with the 2 corrections. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 members voting. At this time, we're going to go into our presentation of our audit report. Randy Galloway, you have the floor.
Thank you, Debbie. We've got a pretty big loss this year. I think if y'all were at the meeting, annual meeting last year, I told you it was gonna be a pretty tough year for the board. Right now, I've still got some audit procedures to finish, but the loss is 282,775. And it's, declining membership is an issue I see. The board, you know, they've been working hard to try to get things rolling in the right direction. They've made some decisions, some things, you know, taking away the employees' health insurance, several things like that to try to get things back in line. That won't affect this year's number, that'll be in next year's number. One of the biggest issues we have is, like I said, the memberships. Memberships last year, sales were 57,000. This year, membership sales are 9,000. We're down 48,000 right there just on that item. So the economy is really hurting things. We still have the issue a little bit with the bad debt situation. We're not recommending increasing the limit this year. We've gone as far as I think we can on that. The board has been working very hard. They hired a lady last January to do collections and collections only. That, you know, that has paid off to somewhat. They've got, what, 3 houses now that y'all got repossessed that they can resell, which eventually the collection has cost quite a bit of money. Her salary, there's been $12,000 attorney fees associated with her salary, but in the long run, it's going to pay off when they can sell these houses. So it's just been a tough year. Some other issues, the hunting buyout contract was eventually, you know, the board spent $35,000 in one pot there to buy that guy out, but in doing that, that cut the property taxes down just in the first year, $17,000. That's going to continue on for several years, as long as y'all keep somebody else out of it besides the board. And it won't be considered commercial property, saving taxes. So that's another decision that looked bad at the time, but in the long run, it's going to pay off for the board. It'll pay for itself in 2 years. And these are kind of things the board is having to deal with declining membership and everything. I do have, like I said, several audit procedures left to finish. One of them is I have sent letters to the attorneys, and they advise us on any litigation issues. And if some of these litigation issues, they look like we're going to lose, the board's going to lose that situation, I might have to accrue some of that loss back into this number, so this loss could be greater. And we always send those letters out towards the end of our audit process, but getting towards the end of it. So I'll send those out next week, and I should get a response in 8 or 10 days, and I can finish up the report. In that meantime, I have some other audit issues correct. I really don't want to take any questions at the time. I know there's going to be several questions, and I'll be glad to answer them all at the annual meeting. But at this time, with these audit procedures left, I would like to finish those, and I'll be glad to answer anybody's questions at that time. So thank you all, and I'll see y'all at the annual meeting.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank y'all.
At this time, we'll have our treasurer do our presentation of the financial statements.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the financial statements presented to the board for audit.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report as in your packets. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 board members voting. Approval, transfer of funds.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the transfer of funds as presented to the board for fire and operation expenses.
I've got a motion for transfer of funds. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 members voting. Report, Director of can I go ahead and just say something? On the sale, the garage sale, by the way, I know a lot of you were kind of interested and attended the garage sale. With the sale of the McLish foreclosure, we collected a total of $5,283. Just to let y'all know, because I know people have asked, and we had a lot of participation in that sale, so I did want y'all to know what we did collect on that sale. Now we'll have our Director of Operations give her report.
Thank you. The facility rentals are normally slower this time of the year, but beginning next month, it'll be booking up with the swim park, Rendezvous Park, and service club being utilized more for prom is one thing, different school functions, family reunions will be starting probably in May on through August, so that always helps. Must be the one that lives in my house, and he followed me down here this morning. She followed me down here this morning. During January in the motel, we had 41 members that stayed in the motel and 148 non-members. As I mentioned last month, it's just the opposite at the RV park with more members out there than non-members. There were 107 members that stayed out at the park and 596 non-members. Out at the golf course, while we haven't had any really good rain, the showers and drizzle have helped considerably. The composting program, I think, is moving along nicely, and everyone's getting ready for the annual Los Morris tournament that will be coming up the third weekend in March. It always seems like it always falls the same weekend as our board meeting. I might add the February board meeting always falls when we have a holiday the following Monday. This coming Monday. Without going into detail for today, but then anyway, aside along those lines, garbage pickup will be on Tuesday instead of Monday because employees have a holiday. Of course, even with holiday, we still have a maintenance employee on duty the whole day for picking up trash and tending to anything that might be needed. The adult center and activity center both had heavier usage than normal this month. I guess maybe the adult center, because of the spa and dance classes, maybe everybody was trying to work off Christmas. I don't know, but usage was up considerably. There was one FRM. One FRM was sold during January, and 5 transfers were processed. 8 memberships were given back, and since the 1st of October, we've sold 11 FRMs and 1 property, but 43 memberships have been given back. That's not good. Kind of along those lines, we've hired an individual, Camille Daly Cruz. She's going to be working on our e-letter that goes out every Friday, doing some PR for us, ideas about low-cost advertising, and as we get on into the spring months, maybe within a 100-mile radius of here, working on plans to really pitch to FRMs that those people would be close enough to come on weekends and what have you. So this is something we're really gearing toward because we just can't continue to lose memberships, and a lot of it is not, it's certainly not, that people are dissatisfied. Finances, the distance, health, various reasons. The collection program, as Randy had mentioned, has gone along very well. This past month, we took in a little over $4,000 in past due assessment. Linda is going to be done a really good job. She is going to be leaving us the end of April, which is a little earlier than I guess I missed it. Anyway, we have another individual that's going to kind of ease into that position along with some other things. And, we did have one of the properties that was repurchased last year. We have well, not really a contract. They essentially signed the papers. They're going to be renting the property for 1 month. It's placed in Unit 15, lot number 1. It's a young couple. So we're pleased to finally get that. We'll be closing on it probably sometime in the next couple of weeks. Security, of course, continues to be busy with routine patrols and barking dogs, dog blues, assistance with EMS and the Sheriff's Department, Border Patrol and what have you. I think we're back on track with our e-letter, and I do apologize at the start that it was, right at the first year we were so slow, and it was kind of a mess, for lack of a better word, but I think we're on track, and in coming weeks, I think you'll see more and better improvements to our weekly e-letter that's going out. We also have plans to upgrade and update our website, where it be more appealing, attractive, and so forth to everybody out and around. To date, on the deer hunting, we brought in, I guess, a little bit over $25,000. They're hunting this weekend, and then the 24th, 25th, and 26th of February will be the last weekend that they'll be hunting. So at the March meeting, we'll have a full report as far as the dollar amount taken in, the number of deer that were taken in. There's been several comments that I've heard from members here just recently that the supplementary assessment or special assessment of the $42, that was illegal. And in researching this, it's not illegal. The board has every right to levy a special assessment. So we hope that everyone will, those that haven't paid will go ahead and get that paid. Right after the 1st of March, there will be letters around the 1st of March. There will be a second letter going out to those who haven't paid. And if they don't pay by April 1st, then there'll be a $20 late fee attached to that. Another item that seems to be, and always has been, it's not a new thing, controversial as far as executive session. There are certain things that, by law, the board can and in many instances must discuss in executive session, such as personnel, contracts that are under negotiation, litigation, confidential information from our attorneys, and any matter that an individual wants to discuss with the board in private, confidentially, everybody hearing it, and the board agrees to honor that request. That's also an item. After the regular meeting, you've noticed the board comes back out and has to give a verbal report on the items that were discussed, or if there was any action taken. I had a second page, but maybe I just went ahead and talked about it. Anything really important on the second page? Oh, it was about the special assessments. So that concludes my report.
Oh, we did talk about membership meetings that were at the forum, the cost for general membership meetings. We were gonna let.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's another thing on there. There have been some, and even consideration has been given by the board as far as like once a month, once a quarter, or something, having just a general membership meeting that everybody, all members could attend. If we're having a membership meeting, then all members, must be notified in writing. That would be much the same, and items to be discussed must reflect on that agenda, much the same as our annual meeting. And that would be very costly, because the printing and then the postage, it would just be over a year's time. It would be very, very costly to do that, because we tend to think that the membership is those that live here local and participate in the different things, but then we've got thousands that live out and around that never come here except maybe, during the summer, or come for a long weekend, or even like the winter Texans that are only with us a few months. And if we're having this through the summer, then they wouldn't be able to attend. So in addition to costly, it would be, I think at this point, it would be a really good idea. That the board will have to make that decision, but it would be, I think it would be not financially responsible maybe to have that. Now, maybe have something like a little town hall meeting occasionally. I don't, we'll have to check into that and see what that would be. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
At this time, we will go into our committee reports and our organization reports. I was asked to make a note that Fort Clark Days are needing volunteers. Anybody that would volunteer, please get with the Tischlers or Norma Rowland. We're less than 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks away from Fort Clark Days, and we are in dire need of some volunteers. And there is a meeting every Monday night down at Shafter Hall at 6:30. So please show up and see where you can put your volunteer abilities to work for Fort Clark. Architectural. No representation. Recreation.
Yes, thank you. The Recreation Committee sponsored the poker run Saturday. Thank y'all for your participation. We had 63. That was a good number attending. I think everybody had a good time. Then this Monday night, is our regular monthly potluck at the Service Center, 6 o'clock. So we hope y'all can get there early and then go to the meeting for the, if you will. And then there's some other recreation items that go on here that you might be interested in. We have a Bible study at the RV Park at 10 o'clock every Wednesday morning. And we have ceramics at the Adult Center on Thursdays from 1 to 3. We're having a good turnout for both, and we'd love to have you.
Thank you. RV?
We had a pretty good turnout for breakfast this morning. When I left, we had 65, and we've been averaging about 80, but I guess the rain kept some people in. But we're thankful for the rain anyway. Our volunteers have taken down some mistletoe from the trees. They've raked the yard. They've planted flowers in all the flower boxes and pots out there. They're making the place look a little brighter and welcome people a little more. And at the meeting this month, they discussed all the things they would like to do. And they purchased a tape recorder for our meetings so that it'd be a little easier to keep up with the minutes. And we're just still happy campers out there, and we thank y'all for participating in our breakfast.
Golf. Preservation.
There's no meeting this month. There will be one next month. The discussion will be on the butcher block down here.
Thank you. Community Council.
Community Council met last week. We had a pretty good discussion. As you know, Tina Hernandez, the president, is still away with her husband while he's recovering from a stroke. And the word is that he's doing some better, so it's hopeful for all of us. As far as, I'm not going to give a report on Fort Clark Days, however. We are gearing up for that, and as Debbie mentioned, volunteers are still needed. I would like to suggest that we arrange to have recycling barrels for plastic bottles and for aluminum cans around during Fort Clark Days. And to that end, if the fort has any of those blue and white barrels that were marked aluminum cans, if we might have the use of those and the assistance of maintenance after the event to move them to the recycling centers if the volunteers can sort them out. And I believe that Keely can give you a better update on Fort Clark Days.
Hi. I'd just like to say that it's really going to be an exceptional Fort Clark Days. I know that Anna and Robert Martinez have been putting a lot of effort this year into increasing the amount of entertainment. So, along with the very best of our festival, which I believe is our living historian encampment and our school days, where last year over 1,000 kids came in for school days last year. I know Sue Martin, who is the volunteer in charge of school days, has reported she already has 700 kids booked to come in and be with the living historians on Friday. I've heard tales of roving mariachis, of folklorico dancers from Del Rio. The Lipan Apaches will be here again. Our living historians. Street dance Friday night, and the Vinyl 45s have been booked, and they play rockabilly and 50s and 60s rock and roll. And we're still figuring out exactly where the stage is going to be positioned, but that will be Friday evening, and please come out. I think it's going to be a ball. We'll have our arts and crafts vendors and our food, as we always do. We'll have informational booths, and just come on out. Please come participate, and please come volunteer. A lot of us have put a lot of energy in thus far, but we're spread a little thin. So please, we need your help. We need your attendance. Yeah. Oh, the bake sale. Oh, the bake sale. Yes. Yes. Anything else I forgot? Oh.
Yes, what about Shafter Hall? I mean, the service club, we're wanting any club on Fort Clark to bring information and set up booths in the service club. That way, it's people that don't know about Fort Clark, everything's there in one area, what we do and what we have here. So if you've got any kind of brochure as a club on Fort Clark, set up a table up there so they can go to one place and get anything they need.
Right, and I think the clinic here in town is going to set up some free health screenings there. They're wanting to do that. I believe the birders will be over there with a table. Bake sale, we have a raffle. The big prize this year is a $750 cash card. Second prize is $500. Third prize is $250. And then there are other items in there as well. So really good raffle this year. So come on out. Hope to see y'all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item K on our agenda,
Recycling?
recycling. Oh, I'm sorry.
Recycling has a rather involved report. To start off with, I'm sure that most of you have noticed that the sign on Scales Road has been totally destroyed. This time, very seriously, it looks like it was vandalism. There's no sign of broken wood or sign. The two posts are there shattered. None of the wood from the sign is lying around as if somebody hit it or something of that nature. It's been down for almost a month, and because of the Brackettville and Kinney County members that are coming in to recycle, we would really like to get that replaced as soon as we can, so that people know where to go. They can find the place. We can't very well tell them they're wandering around where they shouldn't be if they can't find recycling. As far as, I'm going to give a report, it's partial for the year of 2011 because our last December shipment has not been yet finalized due to issues with our contractor, who actually gave our entire December shipment to the wrong party and paid them for it. And they've got to try to untrack that and get it back. They have the information from us that they need. They know they owe us money, but they don't know how much yet. But accepting the December shipment, we made 8 shipments and received a total of $1,732.73 for the recyclables we shipped at no cost to us. So that's all pure income. This last shipment will probably bring us up around the $2,000 mark for income. Also, tonnage has increased slightly over last year. It'll be in the vicinity of 56 to 57,000 pounds of material that we shipped off the fort that did not go in our landfill. We have 30 individuals and couples who volunteer regularly. I mean, not every single month, obviously, but some of them are winter Texans and they volunteer during the winter. Some of the summer people, if we can count them, I don't know what I'd do. I think they all deserve a huge thank you from all of us for giving their time and effort to keep this project involved. And everybody who recycles deserves a thank you as well, because you are saving our landfill, you are saving every member of this board money every single month. And the ones who don't recycle, please join the program, because together we can make a huge, huge difference in what our costs are out there. We've already made our first payment, February 1st for 2012, and we are within 4 or 5 Gaylords of being ready to send a second one already this year. So things are rolling right along. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please.
Deb Tischler. I'm sorry I didn't get up for the golf committee, but I'd like to have a report, do a report on the compost
Okay.
project. But I would like to defer to Mr. Weaver because he works down there more than I do. If he would.
It's a messy job. We've probably composted 200, 250 bags, 300 bags. We have one bin that is now full, it has been watered, and the internal heat has reached 145 degrees. We have 2 more bins that we're trying to compost without grinding the stuff up because it's a very slow, tedious job to run these leaves through the bags. And when you rake your leaves up for composting, please take out the garbage. I mean the tin cans, the plastic bottles, and things of that sort, and the rocks. Yeah, the rocks, it's very dangerous. They come flying out of that machine, and Gina about lost the eye the other day. And I caught one right here. But anyway, the project's going good, and I think it'll be a real good addition to the fort. And the other thing is understand what this has done, what this is saving for our landfill. You know, these many bags now are going back into the fort rather than filling up something that costs us a lot of money.
Thank you. Okay, item K, discussion, consideration, purchase of maintenance vehicles.
Madam Secretary, or President, I'd like to make a motion that we table this mainly because the 2 sheets we got on the vehicles that they give us, which were a total of $34,000, and I made 1 phone call and checked on 2 trucks over in Uvalde, which would fit our needs, and save us at least $14,000. And we don't have any information as to how much it would cost to repair the trucks. But they say they can't be repaired. I mean, anybody that works in antiques knows that trucks and vehicles can be repaired. So I'd like to table this until we get further information. That's my motion.
This is the 3rd month. How long does it take to research it?
Takes a year to learn.
Do I have a second?
Give that a second.
Just a second. Yeah, I second that. These numbers, that's 40% too much for these used vehicles. I bought and sold enough trucks. Yeah, I'll second that. That's too much for these 2. Can't afford it.
I got a motion and a second to table item number K, the purchase of 2 new maintenance vehicles. All in favor? Motion passes with 3 members voting.
I'll just say one thing. It's not real easy to find good used pickups because most of the time they're traded in, they've been rode hard and put up wet, so to speak.
3
My
months ago, you had 2
suggestion
new
would be,
ones lined up.
we keep tabling this and tabling this. As far as repairing the vehicles we've got, it's gonna be just an ongoing thing. As Mr. Stewart had reported several months ago, I've reported. So I would suggest that the board form a committee and you all find what vehicles perhaps would be satisfactory, and then perhaps could go with that.
I agree, and I don't think we necessarily have to set our bounds at the Del Rio or Uvalde. Let's go another 50 or 60 miles into San Antonio and save even more on a big purchase like this. I agree, and I'd also like to look into, maybe it's been done in years past, into some type of a lease deal. These used vehicles have got 0 warranty on them. Both of them are just out of warranty. I want to look at something like that, but I understand that it's a need, and when the tires start falling off the trucks out in the middle of the road, let's not wait till it gets that bad. Let's do something now, and I agree with you, but when we say investigate, it's just a matter of picking up the phone. It's not like we have to drive over there, find out what they got on the lot. They all got websites, all the information on it. Let's do the deal, but let's not say these prices on this, this is obvious anybody's ever bought anything, these are way overpriced. So let's go into San Antonio for the activity and get the vehicles and get them over here. Before we do, I also like to look at that leasing where we can turn back in a couple of years. The main complaint of maintenance is these trucks don't last so long because they have to drive so slow to the neighborhoods. Okay, and I understand that, that's more wear and tear. What would it hurt once a week to get those same trucks out there on Highway 90 and blow them out, get up to 70 miles an hour for a few miles and get the crap out of that engine and blow them out and come on back in with them. You know, it's just driving around slow is costing us 75,000 extra miles. We can get it.
Just out of warranty, they're not very correct.
It's a good thing you're not running from here.
He's not saying the ones we have are just out of warranty, he's saying the ones we're looking at are just out of warranty, is what he's saying. What they presented us with, but I'm kinda like Janelle, this is the third month we've tabled this, so I say that some of the board members do some stuff and then take it up to Janelle, instead of coming here and expecting to table it again next month. I said we've got a 30-day period now to get something in front of her if we're not gonna go with what we've got. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, Charles Fields. Do you look at the Border Patrol auctions on vehicles? You'd pick up some good deals there. And we have many Border Patrol members living on the fort, so I see no reason not to kind of have them keep an eye out for us even.
Thank you. Item L, discussion, consideration, marquee at Post Theater. Do you want to talk a little bit about this before we discuss it?
Yes, ma'am, I can. The lights at the marquee, I'm sure you've noticed, have gone out. We found in checking on it, the wiring appears to be very old. We contacted the sign company out of San Antonio that does marquees. Luckily, they work with a company in Uvalde. They came over. The wiring was very old, all of it was bad. The whole thing pretty much needed to be redone on the inside of it. Bulbs they're very costly. We're looking at just $1,800, and that is for 12 24 sign, 12 24 sign ballasts, 3 ballasts. The signs, 15 sign bulbs, and then their service, and then there's 130 bulbs that go around all the way around the perimeter of it. There's 130 of those. I'm sorry. Yeah, 270 of those, I'm sorry. As far as the exterior of it, the sign faces, we have a quote on that to remove old sign faces and replace with new ones, 36 tall, 20 wide, with approved artwork, and that would run $1,800. I haven't talked to Old Quarry yet. They're pretty much the only ones that use it. I don't know if they'd be willing to assist in paying for this, but it needs to be done because of safety reasons. Because the last function up there, all we had was just a little porch light. I didn't realize that marquee threw out as much light as it did until all this came about. There's been some bulbs out for quite some time in the interior, so it's just for safety reasons it needs to be done.
So we're talking about a total of 3,600 then? For
Yes, if we do the exterior. Now the exterior, removing the sign faces and replacing that doesn't, they're cracked a little bit in places. They're not in like terrible shape. I guess we could get by. Of course, it would look better to have all new stuff, but that's and it's obviously it would be cheaper to do it while he's here. I'm not necessarily recommending that, but it's going to double the price of it.
And they'll back these taxes out of here, will they not, because of the building? The historic building? They've got us at 8 and 4.
Yes, yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to do the lighting at the?
Hang on a second. So,
We really need a motion and a second to really discuss any of it.
motion to discuss, yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
You got, the motion is to discuss.
To discuss,
I second.
okay. Now,
Okay, what say you on to get it, where it's not a hazard with these crusty electrical wires? This first $1,800 will take care of that, and the rest of it is just purely cosmetic, what I
Yes, sir.
understand. But yeah, we haven't talked to Old Quarry
No, I
to see their participation in this,
say,
even $1,800.
yeah.
Now, this is a sign company.
Yes, sir.
If we're gonna do just enough to, just enough so it won't be a hazard, maybe an electrician versus a sign company maybe to rewire it, I mean, I don't know. Is it something that can be done before 4 o'clock days? Is that what we're trying to get it done quick, or?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but it does need to be,
Yeah.
does need to be done.
Janelle, is that a historic building?
yes. On here, it's got $875 for the service truck tech BB apartment. Is that somebody in a truck? We've got our own truck, do we really need?
That's for somebody to come over here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We've got the ballast, we've got the sign bulbs, then we've got a service tech. Is that including the truck? The 7 hours including, part of that cost is for a truck with the bucket on it or something?
Yes,
Assuming.
whatever they, yeah, they're gonna be making a trip over here to the
Right.
trip and the labor.
Well, it's one of the first things they see, when visitors see when they come through the gates, is it not, when they get past the hotel there? I wish we had, I'd like to get done before 4 o'clock, I wish we had time to put out a survey. If it wasn't for the fact of what our auditor just told us prior, I'd vote for it in a second, but with money being the way it is.
Mr. Winchell?
Could we resolve this by going through our committee? It's exterior.
Through the preservation of historic buildings?
Right.
We could do that.
And we have a meeting coming up in what, 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
Could we defer to that?
You're talking about just the exterior, not the wiring, right?
Right. I'm talking about the wiring of that is,
We're talking about the necessary stuff for the lighting, not the exterior.
Just the lighting.
right. That would take the onus off of the board to spend the money and the historic part.
But then it would have to come back here, so we lose a month and all that.
And another $800.
Just a way of easing it up. Yeah. It's up to you people.
We just want to do electricity.
I don't want another lawsuit sitting there waiting to happen, no.
So just make a motion just to do electricity.
Excuse me, one more thing. Another way you could do it is you could pass it, and we could pass it, and then we revert back and pay back the money to the board.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's call it phase 1 and phase 2 of repairs, and phase 1 being the one needed most to get this thing rewired.
So you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I do.
So I
I make a
have,
motion that we do the necessary immediate repairs to this sign out here that includes bringing the electrical work up to code, and there'll be further discussion on the cosmetics.
okay. I've got a motion to bring the post theaters electrical problems up to code. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 board members voting. Item M, discussion, consideration, gravel at RV park.
Madam President, I make a motion that we get our operational director to get a person in here to find out how much is, in detail, what it's gonna cost us to get the gravel in the RV park. This will entail straightening out the sites, putting in caliche, having it rolled down and packed to stone, and then gravel on it. Before we can make a decision on this, we have to get this decision. So my motion is to get somebody in here to give us a study on how much it's gonna cost to do that.
I've got a motion to give the Director of Operations the authority to get a bid on what the gravel would cost us to put at the RV park. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just for discussion purposes, is it really in bad shape out there? I mean, I went out there. I'm asking the question. We got our beers out there. Tell me.
It's muddy.
Shirley, would you like to speak? We have about 10 sites on the back where John Johnson parks in 57, all the way back across there, and they are very, very muddy. If an RV comes in there and parks and it rains like it has now, if they try to get out, they're gonna have deep ruts and tear that all up. On the far side of the RV park, where there's 15 or 16 sites over there, it's not so bad because there is grass in those sites. So for a start, if it's too expensive, if we could just get those back ones done, that would be a tremendous help. But, just wanted to bring that. Okay, so I've got a motion and a second for our Director of Operations to get a cost on what it would cost to put gravel in that area. All in favor? Motion passes. 3 members voting. 15-minute discussion period. I've got Teresa Bridger.
Madam President, members of the board, my name is Teresa Bridger, and I am a member in good standing. And I just would like to discuss the gravel issue. It's very simple. We have piles and piles of rubble on this floor. You have dump trucks, and you have loaders, and a maintenance department that seems to be, to me, appears to look for things to do. Needs things to do. So if you were to get a rent or get a hold of a company that has a crusher, crush your gravel, crush up the debris that's sitting on the floor, and utilize that as your gravel for the RV park. It's a simple solution. There's companies out there. There's on the way. Is it? I don't remember the name. On the way to Uvalde, there's a company. There's a company that's repairing Highway 90 that has 2 crushers sitting out there that are not being used. Maybe you can have them bring them in. There's one between here and Uvalde, and there's one between here and Del Rio. Contact them. See what it would take to have that brought in here. Crush up your debris. You have a quarry that's sitting out here that possibly could be utilized as well. So there's your solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Johnson.
Yes, in the last 12 to 15 years, in RV park, about 90% of everything that's been done in maintenance and repairs and stuff is done through the volunteers and the breakfast fund. And there's hardly anything put back into it. But this year, we come back, we were now notified, here's a $60 raise in our fees, plus the assessment in that. And I'd like to know what the reason was for it, because there wasn't that much put into it. But anyway, there's been a cost in water, electricity in that, which was borne a little, but I don't think it should be over $25, $30 the raise. And I think about $30 should be rescinded. And we've lost up to now 7 full-time members they're here 4 to 6 months a year, and they drop their membership, they left the park, not coming back. There's others dropping their memberships because it's cheaper to drop the membership and pay the fee than it is for the membership. And we're gonna lose, if things don't change, we're gonna lose probably another half dozen people. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the way I understand it, Shirley, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I stayed out there. So it's gone from 230 to 290. Is that what I
That's for
understand?
members, and on that top of that $290, they have to pay their dues of $35 a month.
Plus
And
35.
when you add that, and then you compare it with the rates of the parks around, that's why we're losing members.
Plus they're upset.
So $325 a month.
$320.
$325 would be the total, yeah, would be the total. If you stay for 1 month with everything paid.
For $320.
And this is Fort Clark.
That's 30 amp. Now, if you have 50
Yeah,
amp, it's
right, I remember that.
$30 more. And if you're not a member, it's $395 a month for 30 amp.
Gosh, as much RVing as we've done all over the place and here recently, quite frankly, God, I would have loved to have had a rate that low. For example, Galveston, Texas, the month of June this year that I booked at $1,400 for the month, you know, and people were waiting in line to get that. I'm just looking at comparisons.
Well, did that look like this one out here?
What do they offer at the park in Galveston, Texas?
Galveston, Texas.
Compared to what we have here? I'm not saying the rent.
Waves, you know, chance of getting washed out.
I had another idea.
I don't know, I just look, I'm open for discussion.
I had another idea on the gravel. I know that they're gonna be doing some work on the roads in Brackettville. And I know it's a lot cheaper if you have them, when they come out, if maybe Henry Garcia could get together and find out what they would charge for the gravel for the RV park. That company.
Yeah.
Versus going out and getting your own, since the
Yes,
equipment
yeah.
is already gonna be here. So that's another thought.
John?
When we asked for years ago to have all these things done, and there was never any funds for it. The minute you start talking KOA, there's all these funds that are gonna have to be brought up to KOA standards. There was gonna be money available for that. Where was that coming from?
Yeah, where was it coming from?
It all went into the wilderness park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the list is Woody Trotter.
Woody Trotter in Unit 21 and Unit 1. First, I want to ask, I have 3 memberships, and I just got 1 ballot. Are we still giving a ballot per membership?
Yes.
Okay, I am too short. And the second thing I wanted to say was I was appalled at the meeting last week when some of them were it showed a lack of class when they laughed about and asking members about if they had paid their $42 assessment. Most of the people said they did not approve of that $42 assessment. I feel that it was wrong because of the way it was put upon us, because the 3 members that put us into debt did not act as a board. They acted in a secret meeting on their own, leaving 2 board members out of the discussion. And with me, I have paid my $72. I have paid my $161 a month for those things, but I have not paid the $42. I will have to pay $126. People like Hattie, some of you laughed because she said I haven't paid it as yet. She's going to have to pay $420. People like the Warners are going to have to pay $586. Those of us with multiple memberships are taking the brunt of this. And I think that the 3 members that were responsible for this, they should be fined because they did not act as a board, and they should make up the difference for putting us into debt. 2 years ago, we were $200,000 in the black. Now we're over $200,000 in the red. And I just think that is not fair. And Thomas Jefferson said, when tyranny arises, those of a tender conscience should speak out.
And I'm speaking out because this is wrong for us to be assessed for something that we did not do. We were not represented as a board. And furthermore, Henry Garcia, there is a conflict of interest there. He is city manager of Bracketville. He's serving on the board. You changed the rules that he did not have to vote when it comes to issues with Bracketville. And that is,
That's no.
well, yeah, you're not a very good president, Debbie.
That's your opinion. If you've got a problem with Henry as being a conflict of interest, don't vote for him. But,
I won't.
And we can't help what a board does. A board is elected by the membership. Whoever was
You're
on
not
this board was
representing the
elected to the position, and they are supposedly to do the best as they see fit for this membership. And nobody but one person on this board can do anything about what you're talking about, because there's only one person up here that was on that board at the time. If we want to go back and say why we're in the shape we're in, we can go back 30 years, but we're the future, we're now.
Well, why don't you find the three that got us into this debt?
Well, I think until you get your financial statement audited and copies of it, you're not going to know why
Correct.
we're in debt.
That's right.
Anybody that wants one needs to go to the office and FOI us. Then you'll know what you're talking about.
Joe?
Mr. Williams.
Back to the wiring and lights on the theater. Are you aware, do you know there's a master electrician that has a business that lives on, that's a member of the fort?
Yes.
Okay, was he asked to do some work on it? I know he could get it done before the Fort Clark days. Didn't you say that you had the ballast and the light bulbs and all the?
No, we're going to have to buy that.
Well, that's a matter of going to.
We've got somebody working on that.
Okay.
This was just brought to our attention, and this was where we've gone so far. I've got one more person on the list, Woody Hornberg.
I'm Woody Hornberg, live in Unit 1, member in good standing. Been here many, many years, seen many changes. People refer to when I came here as the glory days. And why can't we be back to the glory days? We had people who were politer to one another, and it seems like things have gotten so confrontational. And so I would like to see us, everybody strive to restore us to the way the things were. We had more activities, and the board acted as a board, not as individuals. They didn't have any individual board members going to employees or to another board member before the board, which was against the rules. So I would like us to be restored to following the rules and being a more polite and considerate population. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Eber.
I wasn't on the list, but we've been in membership here for off and on for probably 20 years. Started out as a week at a time. It's now we're here for 6 months. But it's my thinking that the biggest problem we have here is we can't come up with a 5-year plan. We can't even come up with a 6-month plan. Every time you change the board, you go in a different direction. And until we decide or pay the price to come up with a 5-year plan, we're not going to go anyplace. We're like a mouse caught with his tail. He runs around the trap. So the board's hands are tied. Somehow the membership has got to let the board come up with a plan whereby we can come up with a plan that's going to last for a while. And until that happens, this is going to continue.
Kathy Warren.
I just have a couple of public service announcements about Fort Clark Days.
we're, as Karen Peak says, we're going to have hopefully tables in the service club to represent the different clubs. I would hope that administration would have a table there advertising what we have to offer.
We plan on
Okay.
it.
And then my next thing is I went to Del Rio and I gave out some bulletins and paperwork about Fort Clark Days. I gave it to Barbara Pyler over at Del Tech, who's just the most wonderful woman. And then also I gave some over to the Chamber of Commerce. I talked to Barbara, and they're having their Winter Texan Appreciation Party this coming Saturday. She is having brisket and pork, and also she is having the tables and the vendors. So Fort Clark has offered a free table, so we could maybe have somebody go there also. And if somebody wants to, they want to throw in maybe a T-shirt like we used to do back in the old days. But she was extremely, extremely adamant that we get our table out there so that we can spread about Fort Clark and the days. So that's all I have. But she's a good one to have there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
One more hand, Linda.
Yeah. I'm kind of like the mouse in the trap, or beating a dead horse. Have any of you gone up to see the work being done at the bathrooms at the tent area? The pending they put up that's coming loose and red, the untreated wood that's been put in there that's gonna rot away. The fact that we're paid $6,500 just for the construction, that does not include the electricity or the future of it. How are we gonna recoup that money when you don't have anyone staying in the tent area? Now, that's just another loss of money. I think you better reconsider the electricity at that tent area. I don't know, how many tenters do you get a year there, Shirley?
I don't know, approximately, well, only in town we have tenters is in the spring and the summer, and we probably get maybe 10 a month, if.
Okay, so 10 a month. But $6,500 just for construction, that does not include the electricity. That comes up to about, 6.5 years just to recoup the price of the construction. So that's my point.
Good point.
Oh, I've been out there, but I haven't been since they put the paneling on the inside. I know Borland's been out there.
I went out there and took a look at it. My wife goes around about every third day and picks up trash, and she went into it. And she came back and read me the riot act. I hadn't been out there yet. I didn't even know they had started on it. I went out and looked at it, and the language I want to use to describe it can't be said in this audience. I don't know. It needs to be straightened out. We paid him half the money, and my object is that we shouldn't pay him any more till it gets straightened out. You're right. The type of paneling they used in that restroom should have never been used, because it won't. When you enclose something like that and you take hot water showers, it's going to be bad, because that paneling won't hold up to the humidity that will be generated in the showers.
What's it gonna take to pay for the
Let me
electricity?
finish, please. I brought it up to Janelle, and I brought it up to Bob Walker, to go take a look at it, and that will be addressed. Now, as far as money to be recouped, right now we're not charging very much money to stay in that RV park. There's a couple things that can be done that'll improve that wilderness campground, so we can charge money. To me, I think, how much are we charging, Shirley? $7 or something like that?
No, we charge $10 per tent for 2 people.
$10 per tent. And with electricity and stuff like that, we can charge 17 easily. The only place we're going to have electricity, is at the restroom. And with that said, I think this matter should be closed. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna adjourn.
By the way of the highway,
I'd like to have the audience give Joe Williams a hand for video and these things. And that way, in the summertime, I assume he's going to do this in the summertime, you can go on brackettville.us and be able to see what happens in their board meetings. And I think he needs a hand because he's doing this on his own time and his own energy. Thank you.
We're going to go into executive session. We got to discuss some litigation, some other things on some building inspection. We're going to have a meeting with the RV committee and then some personnel issues. And then we will reconvene after the executive session. So at this time, we are taking a recess for the regular meeting. Do you know anything about it? You didn't say the RV committee?
I think you guys ought to stay.